So last weekend, we celebrated Thanksgiving. Did everybody here have a good Thanksgiving? Or as good as can be expected in these times? I'm seeing a few nods, so that's good. If your family's like mine, you've likely created some Thanksgiving traditions. Maybe pulled out the same wicker cornucopia and used it as your table centerpiece. Or maybe told and retold the same turkey jokes over and over again. Come over to our house. We would hold hands and take turns going around the table, each one naming something we were thankful for that year. Our two sons usually fought over who could go first, because one of the rules is that you can't say the same thing as someone else has already said. It must be unique. So the more people who spoke before you, the harder it got. Many had answers that you would expect. Grateful for family, grateful for new friends, grateful for the bountiful food we saw before us. Some years we had specific items. One year my son said he was grateful to get into the university of his choice. My other son one year said, he was grateful to be gainfully employed after a long dry spell. And I will always remember the year my father said he was grateful to have survived an operation where they removed some cancerous tissue. So I'm glad we took the time each year to go around the table, because it was one of the rare occasions where we actually took the time to think about what we were grateful for. We need to offer appreciation for the good things in our lives. But this year was totally different. This year, with the COVID pandemic, our lives have been turned upside down. And thinking about it this way, this upside down way, reminded me of the Beatitudes. We just read Matthew's account of the Sermon on the Mount. So to recap for just a minute, a large group of people had been following Jesus. They listened to him speak in the synagogue, and they had watched him as he performed miracles. He had healed people and healed them of their illnesses. So now they were gathered to hear more of Jesus' teachings. It's important to realize exactly who was in Jesus' audience. These people aren't the great rulers. These people don't have any power. They're the everyday folk, people from the countryside who depended on the land and the sea for their living. They were poor and essentially lived a day-to-day existence. They lived under Jewish law in a land that was run by the Roman Empire. The Romans were the elite, the rich people, the people in power. And the Romans didn't have much use for the common folk. So the multitude of people who followed Jesus to the mountain were looking for hope. They were looking for something positive in their lives. They wanted to hear there was hope in the future. Hope that things would change. And Jesus' message provided that hope. At first reading, the Beatitudes sound like a contradiction. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This must have sounded bizarre. Everyone knew it was the rich people and not the poor people who got whatever they wanted. And blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Well, that's opposite to thinking that somebody had to be strong and have good leadership skills and stand up for themselves in order to get ahead. But Jesus often took the reverse position to make people sit up and listen to him. So with the Beatitudes, he was telling the people to look at the world from a different angle. He was turning everything upside down. And with doing that, he was offering people hope. Jesus acknowledged what the people were going through, and he offered them hope that their world would change if God was at the center of it. And the poor, marginalized people were amenable to a message that offered new hope for them. Through the Beatitudes, Jesus told people he understood what they faced and promised that it wouldn't always be that way. He was offering a new perspective, a new way of looking at things. So that's what I decided to do this Thanksgiving. Turn things upside down. Instead of going around the table and asking everybody what they were grateful for, we had a twist. We talked about the COVID pandemic and how it's affected our lives. But instead of dwelling on the negative things or the parts that filled us with fear, we took the opposite approach. We still went around the table, but this time, each person had to tell a silver lining of COVID. Something good, something unexpected that happened. Something that would not have happened if we had not had this pandemic. And the amazing part for me was that every single person could answer. Nobody paused. Nobody asked for more time. Every person was able to come up with an example. So just as an aside, I'll tell you that we actually had 2 separate Thanksgiving dinners, 6 people at each, almost 2 weeks apart. We followed COVID protocol, but we did get the same reaction both times. So think for a few seconds. Can you think of a silver lining amidst this cloud of COVID? Okay, well, I'll give you a flavor of the topics that came up at our table, and maybe some of them will sound familiar to you. So as what might be expected, one person spoke up quite quickly to talk about relationships. My new daughter-in-law said that her silver lining was being able to spend time with her new husband. Working from home, having all their meals together, spending time together, it has created an even stronger bond between them. In the same vein, my other daughter-in-law said that COVID provided a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for her 1-year-old son because he was able to have both parents home all day to watch him grow in that important first year. Not many new parents get this kind of opportunity. Another common topic was unexpected adventures. My older son said that having these limitations on travel meant that people were exploring their own province rather than traipsing off to some other country. And since most of his friends were home this summer, he was able to take many weekends going on hikes and camping and kayaking with people in his bubble, which he's never been able to do before. And then we had some more of the practical silver linings. People said they had a chance to enjoy cooking or gardening or other hobbies that they simply didn't have time to do before. COVID's provided a surprising opportunity to meet some neighbors as well. My mother related a story about neighbors bringing over food for them and leaving it on their doorstep when they were in quarantine at the beginning of COVID. Like she'd never met them before. But now they can stand at the end of their driveways, social distancing apart, and chat. But I think the funniest silver lining I heard was from my younger son. He was quick and to the point. He said his silver lining was no pants. He loves the fact that normally every day he has to get dressed up to go to the office. There's a tie, dress shirt, long pants, and he actually really enjoys the casual approach. So it made him very happy that he could wear shorts with his dress shirt when he was on Zoom calls. So silver linings come in different forms, all from taking a scary, limiting event like COVID and looking at it from a different viewpoint, from turning it upside down. One of my favorite authors, Barbara Brown Taylor, agrees with this idea of looking at things from a different perspective, to see the good in it. In her book, Gospel Medicine, she says, the Beatitudes are blessings that are upside down. She says they're just about the opposite of what we've been taught in life. She writes, the world looks funny upside down, but maybe that is just how it looks when you have your feet planted in heaven. Jesus did it all the time and seemed to think that we could too. So blessed are those who stand on their heads, so they shall see the world as God sees it. I'll say that again. Blessed are people who see the world turned upside down. Blessed are the people who have different perspectives. Through the Beatitudes, Jesus gave people a vision of how the world could be, and we can do it too. So, my challenge to you this week is to look for a silver lining. Look for something unexpected or different or some good that has come out of this pandemic for you. It could be an opportunity to connect with old friends over the telephone. It could be unexpected joy from baking muffins for needy people whom you've never met. It could be the satisfaction you've gained from learning new technology like Zoom and FaceTime. Something that has turned your world upside down for the better. And then we can add one more line to the Beatitudes. Blessed are the people who find silver linings in the pandemic, for they shall give us all hope. Thanks be to God. Amen.